For centuries, tucked away in the quiet, ancient market town of Watton-under-Edge in Gloucestershire, England, stands a building that whispers tales of a past so dark, so profoundly unsettling, that it has earned a chilling reputation, the Ancient Ram Inn. It is not merely old, it is a scar on the landscape, a place where the very fabric of reality seems to fray, and the echoes of suffering refuse to fade. For those who seek the unexplained, for those who dare to peer beyond the veil, the Ram Inn is not just a destination, it is a test. A test of courage, of belief, and of the very limits of human understanding. My own journey to this infamous location began, as many such journeys do, with a healthy dose of skepticism. I had devoured countless documentaries, read the chilling accounts, and seen the wide-eyed testimonials of those who claimed to have encountered the inn's spectral residents. Yet, a part of me, the rational, logical part, always sought a scientific explanation, a trick of the light, a creaking floorboard, a mind playing tricks. But the sheer volume and consistency of the reports, spanning generations, began to chip away at my certainty. Could a place truly be so saturated with residual energy, so cursed by its history, that it became a permanent gateway to the other side? The question gnawed at me, demanding an answer that science alone could not provide. The inn's foundations date back to 1145 AD, built on what is believed to be an ancient pagan burial ground, a site of dark rituals and, horrifyingly, child sacrifice. It is said that ley lines, invisible energy pathways, converge directly beneath the inn, amplifying its unsettling power. Over the centuries, it served as a haven for monks, a place of refuge, but also a stage for unspeakable acts. Witchcraft trials were held within its walls, accused women met their grim fate, and tales of dark magic, murder, and suicide became woven into its very stones. This wasn't just a building, it was a living museum of human despair, a repository of every scream, every tear, every final breath taken within its confines. The sheer weight of that history, even before I set foot inside, was palpable. It was this morbid curiosity, this insatiable need to understand, to witness, that ultimately led me to book a night in the very heart of its reported activity. The drive there was unremarkable, the English countryside rolling by in a familiar green blur. But as I approached Watton-under-Edge, a subtle shift occurred. The air seemed to grow heavier, the light dimmer, as if the very atmosphere was preparing me for what lay ahead. And then there it was, the Ancient Ram Inn. It didn't look like a welcoming hostelry. Its weathered stone facade, the sagging roofline, the ancient, crooked windows, all seemed to sag under an invisible burden. It felt less like a building and more like a sleeping beast, ancient and formidable. A shiver, not of cold, but of something far more primal, traced its way up my spine, a premonition of the profound unease that awaited me. Stepping across the threshold was like entering a different dimension. The air inside was thick, heavy, and strangely cold, despite the mild autumn day outside. The silence was profound, broken only by the distant caw of a crow or the creak of ancient timbers. The owner, a man whose eyes held a weary knowing, greeted me with a solemn nod. He didn't offer pleasantries. He simply handed me a key and pointed towards the stairs, a silent acknowledgement of the unspoken reason for my visit. His silence spoke volumes, a testament to the countless others who had come before me, seeking answers in the darkness. My room for the night was the infamous Bishop's Room, a place notorious for its intense paranormal activity. As I pushed open the heavy wooden door, a wave of oppressive dread washed over me. The room was small, dimly lit, and felt impossibly cold, a stark contrast to the slightly warmer hallway. I tried to rationalize it, old building, poor insulation. But the chill was different. It felt like a presence, a breath on the back of my neck, a cold finger tracing my spine. I set down my bag, forcing myself to take a deep breath to maintain my composure. This was what I had come for, after all, to face the unknown head-on. As dusk settled, the inn transformed. Shadows deepened, twisting into grotesque shapes in the corners of my vision. Every creak of the floorboards above, every distant rustle, became amplified, taking on a sinister quality. I tried to distract myself, reviewing notes I'd brought. But my eyes kept darting to the doorway, to the empty space beside me. The feeling of being watched intensified, a prickling sensation on my skin that refused to dissipate, a constant, unnerving awareness of something unseen. Then the sounds began, faint at first, like distant whispers carried on a non-existent breeze. I strained to hear, to decipher, but they remained just beyond comprehension, a maddening, ethereal murmur. A distinct, guttural growl seemed to emanate from the wall beside my bed, a sound that vibrated through the very floorboards, a primal warning from something ancient and territorial. My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't a trick of the old house. This was something else entirely, something malevolent and undeniably real. I decided to explore, to confront the fear head-on. Armed with a flashlight, I ventured into the inn's other notorious areas. The witch's room, where a woman accused of witchcraft was said to have been burned at the stake, was overwhelmingly cold, a palpable sense of despair clinging to the air. I felt a sudden, sharp pressure on my chest, as if an invisible hand was pushing me back, urging me to leave. I stumbled, catching myself on the doorframe, my breath catching in my throat, a desperate gasp for air in that suffocating space. Downstairs, in what was once the smuggler's room, the air grew heavy with the scent of decay, though no source was visible. A child's faint cry, mournful and heart-wrenching, echoed from a corner, then abruptly ceased. I spun around, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness, but there was nothing. Just the oppressive silence, now punctuated by the frantic beat of my own heart. My skepticism was rapidly eroding, replaced by a chilling, undeniable certainty that I was not alone, that the stories were not just stories. Returning to the bishop's room, I found the atmosphere had grown even more intense. The cold was now bone deep, and the air crackled with an unseen energy. I sat on the edge of the bed, trying to steady my breathing, when the door, which I had firmly closed, slowly, deliberately creaked open. No draft, no uneven floor. It just opened, revealing the inky blackness of the hallway. A wave of pure, unadulterated terror washed over me, a primal fear that bypassed all logic. Then it happened. A dark, indistinct shape began to coalesce in the doorway, taller than a man, its form shifting, wavering like smoke. It didn't have features, but I felt its presence, its immense, ancient malevolence. A cold, unseen force pressed down on me, pushing me back onto the bed. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. My throat was constricted, my muscles locked in a terrifying paralysis. The air grew impossibly heavy, suffocating, as if all oxygen had been drawn from the room. I could feel a cold breath on my face, a whisper that seemed to penetrate my very soul, though no words were formed. It was a feeling of utter helplessness, of being utterly at the mercy of something ancient and powerful, something that had waited centuries for this moment. The encounter lasted only moments, but it felt like an eternity. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the oppressive weight lifted, the shape dissipated, and the door swung shut with a soft click. I lay there, gasping for air, my body trembling uncontrollably, sweat beading on my forehead despite the freezing temperature. My rational mind screamed for an explanation, but there was none. What I had experienced defied all logic, all reason, leaving me with a profound and terrifying new understanding of reality. I spent the rest of the night huddled in a corner, wrapped in a blanket, eyes wide open, listening to every creak, every groan of the old house. Sleep was impossible. The fear was a living thing, a cold knot in my stomach that refused to loosen. I had come seeking answers, and I had found them, though not in the way I had anticipated. My journey into skepticism had ended, replaced by a chilling certainty. As the first slivers of dawn pierced through the ancient windows, painting the room in a pale, ethereal light, a profound sense of relief washed over me. I practically stumbled out of the inn, into the crisp morning air, feeling as though I had just escaped a suffocating nightmare. The sun felt warmer, the air cleaner, the world outside the inn vibrant and alive, a stark contrast to the darkness I had just endured. My skepticism, once a sturdy shield, had been shattered. The ancient ram inn is not just a collection of old stones. It is a living testament to a dark, tormented past. It is a place where the veil between worlds is terrifyingly thin, where the echoes of suffering refuse to die, and where the spirits of those who met their end within its walls linger, forever bound to its cursed history. I may not have all the answers, but I carry with me an undeniable truth. Some places are truly haunted, and some stories are not just legends, but chilling realities that defy explanation. The ancient ram inn stands as a stark, unsettling reminder that sometimes the past is not past at all. It is merely waiting for the next curious soul to step across its threshold to become another witness to its enduring horror.